Welcome to News You Can Use, presented by Supreme Lending. News You Can Use offers timely information related to the housing and housing finance industry that we believe will benefit you and your customers. This is News You Can Use.
I have some news that you can use to become the best version of yourself, and we all want to become the best version of ourselves, don't we? Of course we do. That's not news. But in order to become the best, we need three things. We need inspiration, we need education, and finally, we need to serve others before ourselves. Well, we have at Supreme the news that you can use. We have what you need. Get on the Supreme bus because we're all about providing inspiration, education. We're all about reinforcing the idea of serving others before self. Our vision, to become the best version of ourselves, the best mortgage banking company in America. Our mission, to serve others before self. Everyone, no matter black, white, brown, Republican, Democrat, rich, poor, we want to serve them all without condition. And finally, we want to deliver the industry's best customer experience. Serve the best customer experience to every one of you and your customers. Our inspiration is provided through our personal professional best program. That is intentionally, deliberately, we encourage all of our associates and all of you as our partners to get on our bus and to set destination points for every part of your life so you can become the best version of yourself. All right, we'll have another program, Personal Professional Best, coming up soon, and it is going to be the Energy Bus. So get on board now, and by the time you get to September 24th, you could actually be making progress in every part of your life. There's three people that we kind of have on our bus. We have Herschel, who was with us last month, inspiration. We have Doug Duncan from Fannie Mae, the chief economist with Fannie Mae, provide education about our industry on the regular. And then finally, our newest member of the bus tour is Horst Schulze, the legend himself in the business of customer service. He's on our bus. You should get on too. All right, best starts with, in life, relationships. You're in the real estate business, I'm in the mortgage business, but we're really in the business of relationships. And guess what? This is what God told us about relationships. He created all human beings in His own image, female and male, black, brown, white, Republican, Democrat. They were all made in the image of God. They're all beautiful, and we need to love on all of them, don't we? Because if we don't, the scripture tells us that a nation that's divided against itself, disagreeing with each other is one thing, but dividing against others is another thing. Just putting people in buckets and categories. Don't do it. We need to be united even if we don't agree all the time, don't we? Of course we do. If we're going to be great in relationship, we've got to be able to be for everyone. We can still not agree with them, and we won't. Even my 36-year marriage, we don't always agree. She loves Mexican. I don't love Mexican as much as she does, but still for Lisa. We've got to be for everyone, even if we're not for everything, because that will help us be better at relationships. And finally, God called us to love our neighbors, all of them, no matter what their beliefs are, no matter what their party is, no matter what we disagree about, we're still called to love them. And love overcomes hate, and love overcomes everything. Let's start today, you and I, on getting to be better at managing the relationships at home, in the workplace, in the community. Let's do that. If we do that together, we're going to get better, become the best version of ourselves. That's news that you can use. Now, let's talk about the other news, about the economy, and let's talk about the housing and housing finance industry, and let's talk about serving our customers, and starting with Supreme. All right. You all know the story. COVID-19, it hit. We realized we were in for a heck of a ride in 2020, and it's been a heck of a ride so far. We induced a COMA. And why did we do that to the economy? We put it in a COMA because at the time, in March, the spread of the virus represented we were unprepared, represented concerns that we would overwhelm our medical systems and in fact not be able to provide the treatments that would be necessary to help the most people survive COVID-19. So that was called flattening the curve. And the only way we thought we could do it was to shut down the economy, create kind of a quarantine until we could get prepared with the equipment that we would need, the treatments that we would need, and ultimately a vaccine. But that was going to be down the road. So we knew in doing this that there were going to be significant consequences. When you put the economy in a coma, there's going to be significant consequences. We just shut down activity for all intents and purposes, the majority. Remember? Essentials, non-essentials, that's right. A majority of the businesses were deemed non-essential, and only several businesses, food, medicine, were left open, including real estate. Thank God, right? So we've had so far 58 million. There's only 150 million people in America who could work. There were 58 million so far who have filed an unemployment claim. Our unemployment rate was at an all-time low, 3.5% to start the year. It went to 14%. We've not seen that since the Great Depression of 100 years ago. As a result, the Federal Reserve took action and they dropped interest rates. Thank you. You've done a great job, Fed. The second quarter GDP, listen, if we get a 3% growth, that's really good. A 3% decline, oh my God, that's a bad recession. We had a 32% decline, almost 33% in the second quarter, an all-time record, not the kind you want to make, an all-time record. Housing sales for the quarter went down. That is the second quarter. March, April went way down, and even May was down, but it was climbing back up at that point, making its recovery. We'll talk about that in a minute. And our national debt, we've talked to you about this. We started the year at 23 trillion. That's a lot, but that was 250 years in the making. We're going to be at 28 trillion. We're at 26 today and counting. We're going to be at 28 trillion. We hope. Why? Because we hope another round of stimulus is coming because we need it to get this patient fully recovered. That's what we need. So we're going to have to take on more debt to be able to do it. All right. Then what happened was we restarted the economy somewhere in May. And of course, not all states opened right away, but we started to think about reopening the economy because the consequences, I just shared them with you. They were crazy, terrible. We knew it. But we had to, once we flattened the curve, we had to get back started again, as difficult as that might be. Wash your hands, keep social distance, wear a mask, love your neighbor. All right. What recovery were we going to get? The V is what we want. That's the victory. Automatic bounce back, down, back up. Linger at the bottom, the U, all right, and make a recovery. Not bad. The W, we don't want that because we're now on our way back up. We don't want to go back down. It's like a roller coaster. Not good when you're an adult. Slow recovery over time, the Nike swoosh. The L, last thing we want, which is we go down and we never recover. And then the radical sign, which is we go down, we come up, but we never really grow again because coronavirus hinders a long-term real growth from ever getting back into place. All right, so what we said from the very beginning, and we are still telling you the same news today, we're just updating the news, which is that monetary policy, the Federal Reserve, fiscal policy, Washington, and then finally health policy were going to be keys for us to watch to see how this economy was going to recover. This is the road to recovery. All right, let's talk about the Fed. They have really three goals. Basically, their liquidity. They are the blood flow of the financial system. Their goals are to maintain maximum employment, right? So they use their tools to do that. To create stable prices so we don't have runaway inflation where tomorrow when you wake up, gasoline's not $2 a gallon, it's $5 a gallon. We want to avoid that. Other countries have that. We don't want it. And they want to moderate long-term interest rates so that they temper volatility on the rate market. They keep it moderate so we have a sustainable and growing economy, which is what really brings full employment. Powell recently announced this is Fed Chair Powell, a new approach. This is a big deal. His approach is now moderate prices, yes. 2% has been the target for inflation. He has just announced that they're going to allow inflation to run past 2%, which means if we start getting inflation because we're getting growth again, he's going to allow that to happen for a bit so we get our full restoration of our patient meaning our patient got out of the coma and is fully and completely and totally healthy. He's going to give them a window of opportunity, that is the marketplace, as opposed to what previous feds have done over the last generation. You get to 2%, they start raising interest rates and shutting down growth. We're not going to do this time around. We're going to allow it to continue. The old normal was shut it down around 2% inflation. The new normal is they're going to let it run past that. That's good news and really good news for housing. We'll get to it in a minute. The Fed has done a remarkable job from the beginning. They have done everything possible to make sure that the blood has been flowing in the economy, that we have had plenty of liquidity in every single area. They dropped interest rates. They bought securities on the marketplace to make sure that there was debt that was in fact getting financed. They've done everything you could possibly do. Bullard has now said that he believes we're out of the recession right now. So it was a very quick recession. But there's others that are debating that. And in fact, some of the Fed governors are debating that, saying that we could have a double dip or we've not really made it out yet. You never really know until the next quarter of growth is ultimately fashioned, right? So we'll find out more come September about what really happened in the third quarter of this year. All right, let's talk now fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is really Washington creating either tax benefits, loosening up taxes, or what they did was programs, the CARES Act, PPP, Payroll Protection Plan, where they actually gave employers money so long as they paid their rent and all of the people kept their jobs. They gave them the money to do that. They also sent stimulus checks to people who didn't ask for them. They put money in the households of Americans who made less than $100,000 so they would have a little bit of comfort in the news being one thing and then them having some additional dollars to go spend to get the economy out of the coma. And then finally, they also co-sponsored unemployment at a higher rate. They were giving away $600 to people in unemployment that would ordinarily get a certain amount of unemployment. They were giving them $600 extra, okay? And that was a big deal. Those programs have now expired. We are now expired. And so the fiscal area of this recovery is starting to let us down a bit right now. We need right now, by every economist's point of view, we need more stimulus. Why? Because unemployment's still at 10%. So we need people to feel confident to go spend. And we're getting into a bit of a stall because the White House and Congress, the Democrats and the Republicans are, of course, fighting. Look, before everyone in America, even if you don't agree on everything, find a way, okay? We pay you guys to find a way, get stimulus moving, settle it so we can create a sense of confidence for this recovery to continue because it's on its way. Do not play politics right now. Do what's right. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in the medical side of things. Remember, this whole event started with COVID. So here we go. What's happening right now is tests have flattened and gone down some. Well, that's because fewer people are actually showing up sick. And so we also see cases going down pretty dramatically. We got up to almost 70,000, a little past 70,000 for a few weeks per day. And we're now down to right around 40,000. That is a really good news story because what we know what happens is that cases start and then the lag indicators are hospitalizations go the direction of cases ultimately a couple weeks later, and so do then deaths. Well, hospitalizations, just like cases, are going down now, and the good news is so are deaths. We peaked about 2,500+ a day 3 months ago or so, and then we got down to less than 1,000 a day, and then we ran back up as the cases grew in July, right? The lag was, in fact, increased hospitalizations, which we saw, and increased deaths, which we saw, but now we're on the other side, and hopefully we do not go into the fall with this being just a short-term benefit. We hope that we now have better processes to manage social distancing. Wash your hands, wear your mask. A lot more people are doing that these days. Not everyone. Please love your neighbor, wear the mask. All right. So we're also making progress on the treatment front. Okay, there's been a lot of fits and starts. There's been a lot of rumors and innuendos about treatments, but we actually have made progress in treating folks that are diagnosed with COVID-19. We also have the FDA now saying they're willing to fast track vaccines, and we have a number of vaccines that are at that point now where we're getting close. So we'll probably have into the fall, we'll probably have 2 or 3, maybe more, that get FDA approval to move to the final phases so they can be available for all of us so that we can then ultimately see this patient in a full recovery from COVID-19 and the impact in 2020 that's taken place. Let's check in on the patient, shall we? Of course we shall. Let's look at unemployment, retail sales, which are critical, right? And they run hand in hand. As more and more people get employed, of course, they have more money to spend. That's why we need fiscal support right now, stimulus out of Washington, because unemployment's still being high. We need dollars in the pockets of Americans who maybe not are employed today, so they feel like they can go spend anyway, and that will, in fact, continue and encourage this patient to recover. The stock market, the reason we're measuring that is because it is a telltale sign by some of the brightest people about where they think the economy is going 6 months down the road, which is important for all of us to know, because if it's good, that means that they think we're going to get better, which means they think we're going to get over the COVID issue. They think we're going to see our unemployment improve, and that's why we track. And of course, your interest and mine, we're going to check in on housing. All right, so let's take a look at unemployment. Another million last week filed for unemployment. That's not as good as we'd like to see it. We've kind of gotten to a floor now, about 1 million a week. We need to break through that. This is what the trend line looked like. I mean, listen, it's better than it was. In April, we were seeing numbers that were like 7 million, 8 million, right? And now we're down to about 1 million a week. And that number came down a bit last week, not a lot. So we're still in that stall. We need more stimulus so we can get to the next place. This is the unemployment rate. As we kind of look at it over time, you can see kind of the effect of COVID. Oh my goodness gracious, right? I mean, we run through the ceiling. This is that part of the event when we actually put it into a coma. Look at what happened. We went 3.5% in February to 4.4. That was the beginning of the event in March. If you remember, we closed down the second part of March, and then we got the full impact in April, 14.7 in 1 month. Amazing that we all lived through it. Not easy, but we're still on our way to recovery. And now we've been making progress since then. Let's shift to retail sales. We had a great number in the month of July, which was, we had a all-time, it was in fact better than the pre-pandemic numbers in retail sales. That number certainly came down in the month of August, but to be honest with you, 1.2% retail sales number is a good number. So you need to understand that. If we get like a 0.5 point a month of retail sales, that's like 6% a year. That's a really good economy, right? So the 1.2 was actually a pretty good idea. All right. The Federal Reserve has certainly helped the stock market become confident because they've done everything policy-wise, monetary-wise, policy-wise, that one would do. And so the stock market kind of read that as we're going to get recovery. And that was as long as the fiscal part of the program, that is fiscal policy, was running hand in hand. There must be an assumption by the stock market today that we're going to wind up seeing a improvement in this economy down the road, and they must think then stimulus is ultimately going to get approved. Of course, it's been in the political, kind of game right now. Hopefully, we get out of playing politics and we do the right thing for Americans, because you love your neighbor, you'll do the right thing. Nancy, Donald, and the rest of you. All right, here we go. The stock market is actually back. We just crossed. We're positive for the year. That is absolutely positively amazing. You told me we had 10.2% unemployment. We got these kind of unemployment claims that have taken place. And you tell me the stock market, which started the year almost at an all-time high, is now at an all-time high and up for the year. It's been hard to believe. But again, that is optimism about the potential economic recovery, which is a good thing. It's good to see these numbers where they are. Let's move to housing now and housing finance, shall we? Something that you and I care greatly about, right? Our industry. And listen, again, I'll tell you, if you're having a great year, your best year ever, okay? And a number of people are, please, please, please be additionally generous, because people need your help. The unadjusted purchase index, right? So this is like those that are out in the market thinking about buying. It actually came down a bit last week, 2%, but it's 33% higher than it was just a year ago. Again, if you'd have told me all the things that I just told you happened, and then you told me housing was kicking it like it is, I'd have been, let's just say, elated. And I am elated. I'm absolutely elated. I hope you are. We're in a great market right now for housing, independent of COVID, independent of the unrest, independent of all of the impacts of COVID in terms of the economy. Housing has turned out to be a shining star in the entire story, and that's good for the economic recovery because housing is a big deal in the economy. All right. So new home sales have been jumping both in resales and in new homes. New home sales surged 36%. It's the strongest pace since 2006. So we're moving in the right direction in housing. And this is U.S. home purchases. You can see again the shutdown late March, right? You can see the decline, substantial decline. Housing sales in the month of April and May were down 35, 40% almost, and then back up now to where we're up 20% year over year, really recovering a great majority, not all, of what we lost during the March and April marketplace. So as good as we are right now, we're still trailing from where we were when we started the year in terms of what was the expectation. In fact, last year, we did 6 million housing units. This year, the guesstimate is that we're going to be down about 4%, even with how hot it is right now. Making up for March, April, May, we still got work to do, but we're on our way back. And next year, the most recent forecast by our educational guy, Doug Duncan, the chief economist with Fannie Mae, who, by the way, will be back in the next couple of weeks with us to give us another update. He's projecting next year will be up 2% from this year. So we'll be down about 4% this year, but next year we're expecting things to get better. So you know what that looks like for me and you? That looks like we need to get to work right now and make sure that from an educational standpoint, we're improving, honing our professional skills. We need to make sure our services are getting better. And why is that? So we can win favor in the market. You, me, us, together. Start with Supreme. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, let's move on to what's up with interest rates. So the projection from Fannie Mae is that rates are going to be a bit lower this year on average, and then even lower next year than they are right now, which is a reason, an underpinning reason why we're going to see housing stay solid and get even better going into next year. Good stuff. This is the history on interest rates, and this is amazing because once upon a time we saw 16+% fixed rates. Today we're down in the twos if you have the right profile as a customer. We'll get to that here in just a second. Last week, rates were kind of flat, a little bit down from where they've been. So you could break the 3 barrier into the 2s if your profile dictates that those terms could be available to you. If not, you might break the 4 barrier and go into the 4s. We'll talk about that here in a second. All right. These low interest rates have created an unintended benefit stimulus, and that is that hundreds of thousands of Americans are refinancing their home and saving money monthly or taking money out of their homes, and all of that is good for the economy. So it's not a fiscal stimulus from Washington. It's a stimulus, a byproduct of the Fed, again, doing a great job, dropping interest rates. It's consequentially helped housing, and it's also helped Americans because they've gotten to refinance their home. And lots of them are doing it today. And that's why we have this big traffic jam in the lending industry. There's a massive traffic jam. Why is that? Because lots of people are refinancing, which is good. That's the good news story. But the other news is there's a short supply of housing. You know that. I don't need to tell you that. That's not news you can use. You already know that news. But the news you can use is because you're representing buyers and sellers. You need to be particularly concerned about the lenders they choose these days. Start with Supreme. And why is that? Because 54% of all the loans in America today are not purchases. They're not anything to do, unless you're refinancing, with your business. They're simply in traffic, creating traffic, which is slowing the lending process down, which does affect your buyer's ability to create the best profile to get their contract accepted, and it affects sellers who want to get out of their properties and get into their new properties. And that's what me and you want, right? Well, here's the national averages. 54% of the loans, as I just said, are refinances, only 46% purchase, not with Supreme. That's why you should start with Supreme. With Supreme, 81% of our loans are purchases. And why is that? Because we focus with you, our partner, all the time on making sure we deliver the industry's best customer experience for you and for your customers. And it's more important than ever because of the traffic jam. So make sure on the buy side, start with Supreme. On the list side, you tell people you should start with Supreme. Because if you don't, you might wind up, well, in the winemaking business. That's what lenders are doing these days because they're inundated with refinances, not us, but they are inundated. Refinances are taking 50 days to get done. Purchases, 44 days. 44 days. You put that in your contract as a buyer, and you try to get a house when there's a number of other people bidding it. See how that works for you, right? It doesn't. That's why you should start with Supreme, because we'll make sure that you get done when you and your buyer need to get done so that you can get the house under contract and get a successful transaction. Again, our industry's average today is 47 days. Like I said, I like drinking wine. I don't like making wine, especially with loans, because there's no reason to do that. We need to get them in and get them out so they can get done what they really want, which is to be able to be a part of this great American story so they can buy a home, the home that they want at this time in their life, whether they're first-time home buyers or move-up buyers or empty nesters. We just want to help them get there. Our time to close is under 22 days. Industry's 47, we're at 22. I don't know. I think 22 is better, don't you? Of course it is. That's why you should start with Supreme. All right. I told you that it's possible to break the 3 barrier with interest rates a few minutes ago because that's what is being communicated by the media, and it's true. That is, in fact, available if the profile of the buyer fits it. If not, well, then other rates are available. They'll still be great rates, but I just want you to understand it because for you to be able to set expectations with your customers about where rates are, you really need to understand the profile of the customer from a loan to value, what kind of property they're buying. Are they buying it to live in it? Are they buying it to rent it? All those things affect the interest rate. So let's take a look at exactly what this looks like. Here's the Smiths. Look how happy they are. Happy little family, aren't they? Beautiful little family. Little person saying hello and everything. All right, LTV, 25% down. That's a really good down payment, okay? Property type, single family. These are the profiles of the best rates out in the market, by the way. Credit score, 740 and above. All right, good. You broke the 3 barrier. You're at 2 7/8. Your payment's 1244, 68. Their next door neighbors, they just bought too. The Jones family, they're not as happy as the Smith family, and here's why. They only put down 5%. So apparently they're either new homeowners or they just didn't save enough. That's okay. We still do loans, and we're happy with the Jones family. We're happy to do their loan. Their credit score, they apparently didn't go to Credit Essentials. They weren't prepared prior. The credit score is 650, not 740, and so the Smith family pays materially less. The interest rate for the Jones is 3 5/8, not 2 7/8. And so they spend $1,732.99, not $1,400. They spend $1,700 a month. No wonder they're not as happy as the Smith family. Now, what if the Jones family, your customer, went to Credit Essentials? Wow. Every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. Every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, half-hour show. Then they can get to Lisa Myers, the credit whisperer. Here's what happens. They still put down 5%. But their credit score went from 650 to 704. That's right. The average that Lisa is helping is 54 points. Their rate went from 3 5/8 down in 3 1/8. Not quite 2 7/8, but a lot closer to their neighbors. And now they're paying $1,627, not $1,700 and change. They save $105 a month. That's $1,200 a year. That's $1,800 in pre-tax earnings a year. Every year they save that. Imagine that. They could pay for college down the road simply by going to Credit Essentials. Oh my goodness. And what would it feel like for that customer to survey you as a realtor at the end of the transaction if you started with Supreme, sent your customers to Credit Essentials, and they wound up picking up a massive improvement savings? They'd be a happier family, and you would have a raving fan. Start with Supreme. That's what you should do. That's exactly what you should do. Lisa and Credit Essentials now, in its 3 months of existence, has served 545 customers. When COVID happened, we knew credit was going to be an issue. Serving others before self, that's what we do here. We created Credit Essentials, and here we go. Now, average customers who show up with a 612 credit score, which you cannot get alone, are now getting to 665. So they're not only getting into the home buying action, they're saving a material amount of monthly payment as a result of their improved credit scores. Again, Credit Essentials, 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, Saturdays at 10 a.m., and then you can get a personal roadmap from Lisa so that your customers can get personal attention to improve their credit. All right, let's talk about service. On the road today, we got a little concert going on. We can't have a concert today, so we're Zooming with Horst Schulze, the legendary founder of the Ritz-Carlton, one of the greatest customer service companies ever. He's a legend. He is in the topic of customer service. It's on tour and it's coming to you. Here's what he says. You got to do 3 things. You got to provide your service or your product to your customer defect-free. The second thing you have to do is be on time, close on time, fund on time, every time, so they can move on time. You can get paid on time. Amen. The third thing, be nice. We're so busy, and we probably watched Fox or CNN last night, and we got caught up in the anxiety and frustration of it all. We forget sometimes that we just need to be nice to people. Republicans, Democrats, rich, poor, believe it or not, we need to be nice to everyone. That's what loving our neighbors is all about. All right, we're on tour. Check your loan officers out. Ask them, how can you go to Horst's program? It's a 1 hour. It's got a Q&A at the end. It's amazing. We have a great feedback. This guy is the best source of customer service information in the world. That's right, in the world. By the way, he'll be doing a new continuing education class for us. We're going to introduce it to all of you in the fall. It'll be a 3-hour class. So instead of going to get your CE because you need to, you'll be going to get your CE because you want to, because then you'll get to be educated on how to become a better service professional. Inspiration, he'll do it. Education, he'll do it. And you'll learn how to serve. And that's going to make you a better professional, which is going to set you up to have a great year in 2021, and that's what we want to do. Oh, by the way, our rock star, Ty Anderson, who runs our marketing organization, who did Market Like a Rock Star, CE, continuing ed, not a need met, but really, really like learning how to be a better professional marketeer, all of you. Guess what? He's introduced a new program on social media. It's called Market Like a Rock Star 2.0. Guess what? We think you're not using social media. That's a mistake. We think you're using social media today. It may be a mistake. By the way, be careful what you put out on social media because you're not doing business with Republicans or Democrats or Christians or not. You're doing business with anyone that you can serve. We are. We love our neighbors. We want to serve everyone. We don't care about their backgrounds and their beliefs. We may not agree with everything, but guess what? We want to be nice to them. We want to deliver on time, and we want to create a defect-free. That's why you should start with Supreme, because we're focused on getting better. Every day, we're inspired to be our best. You should be too. Get on our bus. All right, start with Supreme. I've already told you that, right? Yes. Supreme Speed Service. Ask about it. We can do loans in as little as 8 days. We do them on the reg in 8 days. Why? Because sometimes when they were getting wine made elsewhere, they figured out they didn't start with Supreme. They need to get out of the winemaking business and into actually closing their home. So sometimes we have to just take the loan at the end and then dunk it. Or you want to put it in your contract up front because you think that's what's going to be appealing to the seller because there's a shortage of inventory. We want to be there for you. Start with Supreme and ask about our Supreme Speed Service. What about our Supreme Rescue Service? This is when they're making really bad wine elsewhere. They might not even be squeezing the grapes because they're not doing anything and the loan is stuck. And you're curious as to whether or not you're going to get a transaction. Call your loan officers. They will get to the best surgeons in America. That's right. Our risk managers are the best surgeons in America. And they'll take a look at the patient and see if we can do surgery and get the loan to the closing so you can do another transaction this year. That's what Supreme Rescue Service is all about. That's what it does. All right, customer satisfaction, 98.7 year to date. Our customers are leaving saying, yes, thank you for letting me start with Supreme. That was a great experience. You got another raving fan. That's what we're here to do. Close on time, fund on time, so you get paid on time. Can I get an amen? Just one.
Amen.
Of course I can, because we all want to get paid on time. But closing a customer's loan on time and funding it on time allows them to complete a transaction where they can move, which is a really stressful experience. If you don't do it on time, it's a big problem. You know it and I know it. That's why we measure it. Other lenders, ask them what their close on time, fund on time rate is. They won't know it because they don't track it. Why don't they track it? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Everybody should track this. This is critical. 99.5%, that's what we do. And of course, we go fast too. I've already told you that. Hey, September 24th, coming up here soon, and we're going to need energy because let's face it, we're tired from COVID-19. We're tired because there's been a lot of our neighbors that have been hurt this year, right? A lot of neighbors. We're tired because we have some unrest going on in our country. It's not the best time for our country today. We all should hope and pray it gets better. So what do we need? Well, we need a source of energy. We need inspiration. We need education so that we can better serve not only in the workplace, but better serve, period, our country. That's what we want to do. So we're going to have John Gordon, who wrote an amazing book, simple but brilliant, called The Energy Bus, about how to bring your energy to a place where it allows you to unlock the best version of you, which will, by the way, benefit every single person in your life that you love. It'll also benefit every single person in your life that maybe are hard to love. It'll also benefit every single person you've yet to meet, but you will meet. Join us on September 24th. Get on our bus, get inspired, get educated so that you can serve at your very best and make mankind better in doing so. Remember to leave today with this, that you need to be for everyone. Don't get angry and mad when you're not for what they're for, but be for everyone. And you can still not be for everything, but you can still be for everyone because you still need to respond to God's call to love your neighbor, not the ones that are lovable. Love all of your neighbors, even those, especially those that are unlovable. That's news you can use. We're going to take off next week. It's Labor Day. I hope all of you have a great Labor Day weekend with your family. Wash your hands. Keep social distance. Wear your mask, okay? We're going to get through this thing together. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.